10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, praise the Lord, everybody. It's good to be back with you again for another opportunity to be with you for the midweek motivation. We got to get some sound. And just trying to get this sound good here. How's everybody doing tonight? I pray everybody's doing well. Pray everybody's doing well. If you can hear me, just let me know that you can hear me. Good evening. Good evening. It's good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Wonderful. Wonderful. Checking with my co-producer. Are we good? All right. Just want to make sure that we are good. So here we are again for the midweek motivation here at the Love Center Cathedral. I'm very delighted to be with you. This is Bishop Tyrone Smith. I am the senior pastor and the founder of the Love Center Cathedral, and I'm delighted to be with you. In her absence, my wife, Lady Savannah, who is actually in the chat on tonight, her and my baby sister, Anja, are on their way down 95 from New Jersey. She went up to pick up her brand new car. And so they're on their way back. And sweetheart, you know I send my love, and I know you all are driving safely. And I just want you to know that I miss you. And I can't wait till you get back home. Can't wait till you get back home. Want to say good evening to all of the Love Center family. I want to say good evening to all of our Prophetic Grace family. I want to say good evening to all of our family in South Carolina, family in Ohio, family here in Maryland, family over across the seas in Dubai. And certainly want to say good evening to my pastoral staff. Want to say good evening to Pastor Dr. Rashida Timpson, my daughter in the Lord. Certainly glad to have her on tonight. I'm actually really glad that you're on because of what I'm going to talk about on tonight. Was actually going to be a continuation of where we were on last week. So I just want you all to know that last week was very insightful, and I just felt like let's just stay in that vein because it was really just a great conversation that we had. And I just felt like let's just continue in the thought. Um, we had a great conversation and we started talking about relationship, and then it just kind of veered and we started talking about parental guidance. And I want to engage in that conversation. Certainly to Bishop LeVar Harris. Again, we're sending our love, Bishop, to you and your family. I need everybody right now to just show Bishop our love in the loss of his brother. His natural brother went home to be with the Lord. And I want everybody just to show your love to him. Bishop, we certainly send our condolences, our love to you and to Evangelist Shanta, to your whole family. And I know that those services are going to be forthcoming, and we just send our blessings to you. And we certainly pray that everything goes well, because we are still dealing with COVID and the Omicron, and now there apparently is another variant that is out there. And so our prayer is that as you go to celebrate, to be with your family, that you will be safe with your family, because there is no other place that you should be than to be right there with your family. We just want you to be there with your family. So we pray that you're safe, and we pray that you will have a safe journey up to Pennsylvania during that time of homegoing services for your brother. Want to say good evening again to family everywhere, friends everywhere. Just grateful to God for all of our family and friends everywhere. And I thank you for joining us for the midweek motivation. Listen, I want you to tag somebody, and I want you to share this with somebody right now and let them know that the midweek motivation of the Love Center Cathedral is now on the air. Before I go any further, I just want to take this minute, and I just want to let you all know that the Smith firm and agency is now open. And I want to give you the opportunity. If you're looking for employment, I certainly would love to have you. We are hiring right now. I'm looking to bring on 10 new agents to train and to teach them the business, and to help you to live the life that you really want to live. For some people, it's really not about the money. Um, some people make good money. The issue is they don't have the time. They're struggling to get their time back, and so insurance affords you the opportunity where you can still make a phenomenally lucrative business and still have the freedom. Especially for those of us who have younger children who are playing sports or involved in school, this gives you an opportunity to be with them. And so I just want you to know that we're going to be advertising everywhere. So please be on the lookout. You're going to be seeing advertisement all over for the Smith firm and agency. We are definitely looking to hire. If you are interested, if you're interested, if you look right there on that advertisement right there, you can give us a call in the office, 443-898-8178. Again, that number is 443-898-8178. Or you could just email me at bishoptsmith@hotmail.com. That's bishoptsmith@hotmail.com. I want to say good evening. I see quite a few people that are coming on, and I certainly just want to say good evening to all of you. Thank you so much for joining us on tonight. Tyrone, I see you. I got your message too. I hadn't had a chance to respond. I've been just extraordinarily busy. There's just so much going on. But I hope I didn't miss the window to do that reference, because there, you going into ministry there, that's going to be a benefit to them because of your dedication to ministry, and you certainly have been dedicated to ministry for a number of years. And so I just pray that that has gone well for you. I pray that that has gone well for you. Listen, again, tag somebody, let them know that the Love Center Cathedral is now on the air. Now, I want to jump right in. I don't want to labor the time too long. I want to jump right in. Last week we started talking about relationships, and then it kind of parlayed into talking about children and our parental guidance. And I wanted to have that discussion, in particularly those of us that are living in this region where we are seeing an exceptionally high crime rate, and a lot of things are happening here, and there's a lot of questions on who's at fault or what's actually wrong with all the things that are going on. And here, there is a multiplicity of things that are lending to this issue. It's not just one thing, it's actually several things. We have an issue with our criminal system, we have an issue with our educational system, we have an issue societorily. There's just a lot that is going on. And when you have several things that are all kind of falling in the same time, it just creates what is called the perfect storm, and that's what we're actually seeing. And so I wanted to kind of go into the conversation uh, with the scripture as our lead. I want to go there, and I want to specifically target the story of Joseph when he was a little boy. And for those of you that have been in church for some time, you know that story of when Joseph was a little boy. Um, his brothers sold him into slavery because of a dream that he had. And in that dream, he shared in the dream how God himself was going to exalt him. And out of uh, out of happiness and joy, he shared it with his brothers and his father. And unfortunately, they became very bitter. And then it did not help that the father had given him a coat of many colors. So there was seemingly some favoritism that had transpired. And so I want to start off by asking those of us who have siblings, those of us that are in families where we've been under the parental guidance, whether it was your natural parents or if it was someone that was designated to be the parental guidance in your life. I want to ask you a question. Did you ever grow up feeling as if there was some level of discrimination of some sort, or you felt alienated because of one family member or someone that was loving maybe either you or loving someone else, and either you were exempt or you felt exempt, or you felt like there was a lot of focus upon you, and unfortunately it created animosity within your brothers and sisters? Had you ever experienced that? Had you ever experienced being maybe not as loved from your parents? Did you feel like it wasn't as good as you wanted it to be? I'd like to hear from you in the chat. If you've had those experiences, I'd love to hear from you. Uh, Lady Tracy, it's good to see you, daughter. Good to see you. Um, I know when I grew up, um, I had an interesting situation that happened in my home. Unfortunately, when I was in my adolescent years and I was growing up, my mother and father were really going through a lot, and unfortunately, they wound up divorcing. My mother wound up leaving my father, and as time went on, uh, there was a lot of feeling that I had. I really felt like a lot of what I went through, um, and my older brother later confirmed it, that my mother did not love me as much as she loved him. And certainly my younger brother, um, he was the baby, and so I was the middle child. And sometimes the middle child sometimes is not as loved because the middle child is not the first, and the middle child is not the last. And so there was a lot of things that happened, and it made for a tough time for me. And I wound up really going out and doing a lot of things during my teenage years, um, looking to be accepted. I just felt like I needed to put myself in a place where, uh, since I could not really get it at home, I sought other places to get it. And so I was grateful to be able to play basketball, and I used that. And during time when we grew up playing basketball, it certainly lended to girls and other things. And so then I wound up selling drugs in my teenage years, and all of it was really because I just wanted to be accepted. And so I was willing to do whatever it took to take the pressure off of what I wasn't getting at home. And so I want to say to a parent, I want to say to someone who may be the parental guidance for someone, maybe if it's not your natural child, maybe it's a niece, a nephew, or something like that. I just want to say to you, number one, be careful how you are administrating your love. Be careful how you are administrating your love, because if your love is partial, or if it is, and if I could use a political term, if it is bipartisan, if it is uh, one way towards a certain child and then not to the other, I just want to say to you that that environment is actually creating the possibility of a dysfunctional child. I want to say that again. That level of love that you are administrating, what you are doing, you are creating the possibility of a dysfunctional child. Many times, children are acting out because of a deficiency that they are not getting. They are missing something, and whatever they are missing, and a lot of times parents will say, well, I don't understand why my child is doing what they're doing. Well, because in your eyes you believe that your parental guidance is sufficient. You believe that you're doing well. I have oftentimes shared with many people that in this age, the danger of how we are parenting, the danger in how we are parenting, uh, is we're trying to use an old way in a new system. Let me say that again. We're using an old way in a new system. And it is dangerous because in the era when I was young, the parental guidance or the matrix that was used to determine good parenting was based upon these things: roof over your head, food on your table, clothes on your back. Now, the pressure of this modern era or parents now is you just can't buy anything for your child, because now, with the peer pressure as high as it is, if your child is not wearing certain fashions and they then fall under the scrutiny of this peer pressure, it too can create a child that is dysfunctional. Now, I don't want to put pressure on parents to say, go out there and buy, $1,000 sneakers and things like that. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that the current climate of the society that we live in, and for those of you, again, who have studied the Bible, you've gone to seminary, you've heard me talk about anthropology and the cultural anthropology, and anthropology being the study of mankind, and cultural anthropology is the study of the culture of man. When you hear me talk about that, what you are hearing me suggest is that as much as we say that we are spirit filled, we are spirit led, God is our source, God is our fortress and our strength, and we use all of the scriptures to substantiate the spirituality that we are trying to exhibit. But in all fairness, the culture has a profound effect upon how we are viewing each other, how we are moving in this climate. It has everything to do with it. And whether we want to admit that or not, it's a fact. It's a fact. It is a bona fide fact that the culture has a tremendous amount of influence on who we are and what we do. As a matter of fact, if we're going to be very honest, if we look at the evolution of time, if you notice, even now, like we're broadcasting to you right now. Okay, we're broadcasting to you right now. Now, who would have ever thought that we would be at a time where you could broadcast church right into your home right to your cellular phone. Who'd ever thought that we'd be here? But that just tells you that things have changed. And in the changing of time, so has our parental guidance. Because see, back then, my parents, when I was young and the home was good, it was more about what was bought. We had toys, we had clothing, and then at times, when things got hard, I wasn't wearing the more fashionable things, and my father would buy things, and it would be very, very outdated. And so, because he bought things that were very, very outdated, I was always teased when I was in school. And so, because I was teased when I was in school, it put a lot of pressure on me because going to school, knowing that I was going to be teased and I was going to be criticized, it made it very difficult. Now, and I'm just using my life. Tonight is Bishop just being a little candid because I need you all to understand that some of the severity that we are experiencing in society and in the culture has a lot to do with how these children are actually being raised and certain scenarios that are going on in the home that you may say is good, but in all fairness, it's only good to you, but to your child, it is one of the toughest processes of adaptation and evolving, and they're not really happy. And it is important that we create a stable environment that our children can actually grow up in. Now, when I was young, my father drank a lot. My mother drank, and my father drank. So I grew up in a home where there was a lot of alcohol, which is a part of the reason why this very day I don't drink. It has nothing to do with me being a bishop and a priest in the church. I grew up watching the evidence of what alcohol did. And it was tough. It was very, very tough. Um, in that time in the 70s and moving into the 80s, um, back then, unfortunately, my parents fought a lot, and in that fighting there were times when the fighting would be so loud and the police would come. Now, what is interesting during that time, and I'm talking about parental guidance and how we are managing our children and our home during that time when the police would come, what was unique was, unlike in the modern era, where if there was such domestic violence, then they would come and somebody was definitely getting arrested. But see, back then, domestic violence had not yet been defined. And I want to parlay into the thinking and talk about evolution of time and why we need to change concerning our parental guidance. Because a lot of the things that were permissible then is not permissible now. And you cannot just say that your parental style or what you do or how you manage your children is actually working just because they're not saying anything, because many times these children don't say anything but they react to everything. Let me say that again. They don't say anything but they react to everything. And a lot of the reaction that we are experiencing is watching the things that they are doing. At no point should you, as a parent and as a guidance for their lives, and I'll even broaden that a little bit, because many of us have such influence with so many different people. At no point should you be absent, or you should not allow your child to mechanically raise themselves. You should not allow them to just be shut up in their room and you have no interaction with them at all. Because what you are doing, you're creating an environment where they are not used to your parental guidance, because literally you're in your world and they are in their world. And in their world, unlike when we grew up, there is a whole nother world that is out there for them that They don't even need, listen, they don't even need to leave their room, but yet they can still be in the world because now social media and the internet affords them the privilege that they could be sitting in their room, but mentally they're actually in the streets with their friends. And there's a whole interaction that's taking place. And because you don't have a real bona fide relationship with them, you are just the person that buys food. You are just the person that pays bills. And I know that at times you just want to say, well, you're going to do what I say because I pay the bills. Ladies and gentlemen, that level of guidance does not work in this generation because they do not really understand what paying bills really is. They don't know what that is. They don't know. And because we've done such a great job in giving them so much, many of them are out of touch when it comes down to what it actually costs in order for the home to survive. Now, in my case, and I know many of you have, you've said, we have great children, and you have spoken so well about my sons and things like that, and we're so appreciative. Um, but let me just say this: I have very real conversations when it comes to my son. I've had conversations to tell them that when they put a hole in the wall, that this is what this costs so that they understand. I actually told my sons, this is what the mortgage is on our home. This is what these cars cost. This is what the insurance costs. This is what the cell phone bill costs. This is what the internet costs, television, everything. I went over that. And when I sat down and shared that with my sons, you should have seen the expression on their face because they had no idea of the thousands of dollars that it takes in order for us to provide for them. Ladies and gentlemen, it is going to be very important that in your interaction with your children, you must listen to me carefully. You must have real conversations with your children. Here's the reason why. And I use this as an analogy of life. When they're born and they're so precious, and we love them, and all of those wonderful things that come with the birth of a child in the world. However, at the moment that they are born, there is another person philosophically, analytically, that is born with them. And uh, when they're born, as they are growing, this individual is growing with them. Now, as they're growing, thank you, Des. As they're growing, they begin to notice him in the early years of life, but it's not yet meaningful yet because see, as he's growing when they're young, he's only about 5'7", $150. He doesn't, it's not as significant. But the closer they get to adulthood, then he grows and he becomes very big, 6'3", 230, muscle. And then when they cross over into full adulthood, then they meet him really face to face. Who am I talking about? Some would say, I was talking about God, but I wasn't. I'm actually talking about this other guy. His name is Real Life. His nickname is called Reality. And when they meet him, they normally meet him when they really don't want to meet him. But unfortunately, they don't get a chance to choose when he now has fully revealed himself to them. And when he shows up, we will then ask the question. And it is no longer our responsibility, it is on our children's responsibility. And the question that he is going to ask is, how are you going to handle me? And if you don't have the right answer, he is going to throw his weight around. And when he throws his weight around, typically these young people have found themselves in some very precarious situations, some of which a lot of them wish that they could turn back. But you and I both know that you cannot turn around. Life is a forward motion. It is never going back. And so a lot of things that they have encountered, they would love to change. But in all of what they are experiencing, like I was experiencing when I was young, there was so much pressure. My father drank, my mother was drinking, and so there was a lot of abuse there. And there were times when I was so fearful to move around in my house, I just stayed in my room. And I was very fearful. I was fearful to get up and to move around at night. I was very fearful. I remember for many years growing up that I wet the bed for years because I was fearful to get out of the bed, because I was fearful of what my father would do. And you never know. You never know what thing that you are doing that is creating a environment that is unhealthy for your children. Again, using as a parallel to what happened with Joseph when he was young, with the coat of many colors, and how his brothers felt about him and how they sold him into slavery and all of these different things that happened. Joseph really had a tough time. Psychologically, I don't know what he was thinking or how he could have felt, knowing that it was his own brothers that sold him into slavery and started this journey that inevitably it worked together for good, but certainly it started off very bad. And so I want to say, number one, be careful of how you are administrating your parental guidance. Have real conversations with your children. Have those conversations, even if they're not your children, but they look to you for guidance. Have those conversations. And be very clear. It is okay. And I want to be very, very direct when I say this. It is very okay for you to be friendly, but not to be friends. At no time should your children ever see you as a friend, because it is that behavior and the breeding of that behavior that gives them a sense of empowerment to suggest that they are equal. One of the issues that I see in this generation is that these children are unfortunately growing up too fast. They are growing up in their dress. With these cellular phones, they are granted certain accesses and certain privileges. Many times, even on Facebook, Facebook has an age requirement, but we bend it to allow our children to have access. But we can also say that there is a lot of content that comes across on your storyline that it is not suitable for these young people. They are growing up too fast. And I'm thank you so much. I see Apostle Melanie Howard. The Lord bless you. And I certainly, if I could use you in this narrative because of your children. And so Tyrone Knight said, he said, good point. Having these one-on-one conversations are key to building trust and fostering an atmosphere of openness. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then Apostle said parents seem to be pushing them to grow up fast. Well, to be very honest, from what I can see, the reason why there is such a push because parents, some, not all, but some have come into parenting themselves too fast. So they want to quickly push them out so that they can reclaim the years that they have lost. And the danger with that is, and you and I and you all, we all know this, you cannot reclaim it. It's gone. You can't reclaim that. The only thing that you can do is you can manage the time that you have more effectively. You can manage the time more effectively. And let me also say this. Now, this is the doctrine according to Dr. Smith. This is just me talking. Um, I have often wondered, and it actually happened from a conversation many years ago. Someone had asked me a question that I couldn't answer at that time, and it was a very good question. And I want to pose the question. I have the answer, or at least I have my own theoretical answer to the question. Someone had asked me years ago, why does God allow a woman who's strung out on drugs, who has no desire to care for her children, continually give her the opportunity to continue to bear children? Where every time she bears a child, she's not even taking care of the children and bringing them up in the most deplorable environment without any real sense of nurturing. But then a couple who has a good home, they have great jobs, love the Lord, and for whatever reason, the woman cannot bear a child, just cannot. They asked me why. And at the time, I couldn't answer the question. It was a very good question. But then over time, as I became a father for three different times, and now a grandfather, the Lord revealed something to me about parenting. And this is the theory that I came up with. God grants us the privilege to have children, to right the wrongs in our lives, the things that we have experienced, the things that we have done, the things that we wished that we could change, but we could not. He gives us an opportunity to now right the wrongs of our lives vicariously by parenting our children. So every time that God has given us the chance to bear a child, that was God's way of saying, now I'm going to let you fix your life by parenting your child and helping them to avoid those areas. And you may say, well, Dr. Smith, Bishop Smith, I don't understand. See, the woman who's strung out, every time God gave her a chance to bear a child, he was actually giving her the chance to fix the stuff that was going on in her life. But the other scenario where that husband and wife are good, they're God loving, they're God fearing, and there's so much right about their life. Well, there is not much in their lives that they would have to actually fix. But the other person is very adverse. Is it concrete? I can't give you that answer. It is only the gospel according to Dr. Smith. Because every time we see our children, if for no other reason, if there is nothing that we feel when we see our children, every time we see them, every time we interact with them, as we watch them grow and as we watch them evolve and as we watch them enter into life, every part of our being is looking for an opportunity to steer them away from the mistakes that we made. That is our goal. That's that is our sincere desire. We just, if we don't want nothing, if they never become millionaires, if they never become popular, if they never become entrepreneurs, if they are nothing more than just good citizens, that's all we want. And for them not to experience the things that we've experienced, because some of us, if we are genuinely honest, and I pray that at this stage of our lives, I am praying that we are now at a very honest place in our lives. Because sometimes, in order for your child to really honestly have a genuine respect for you, sometimes you have to be genuinely honest, not only with you, but you're going to have to be honest with them. And sometimes, though you are the parent, you are the adult in the house, sometimes it's okay to say, you know what? I was wrong. And you're no less of a parent because you've said to your child that you're wrong. Apostle said that's one way to look at it. Yet, no matter how much we try, we still find that they may make similar mistakes or have those experiences we wish they didn't. And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But here's what I know: we can lessen the potency of that mistake by how we guide them. Because one of the other things that I have learned, which is probably why my beard is as gray as it is that when they reach adulthood, you are no longer the parent. You have graduated to an advisor. And how they will embrace your advice is based upon how you have built a relationship with them when you parented them. See, you will not be, or you won't be able to effectively, if you've not really parented well, it is going to be very difficult to now wedge yourself into their adult life. Because many times, what's going to happen by default, they're just going to reject you. And they're going to reject you not because they don't love you. There is a sense of love that is there. But how many times have we ourselves loved something but would not adhere to it for whatever the reason? And many of time the reason had everything to do with how an individual interacted with us. You will always exhibit love, but you will turn their voice off because what you have found out is that the love that you were seeking to have, you didn't get it. And since you didn't get it, you then reserve the right not to give it to them now in the adult life when you want to give it to them, because they did not do a good job at a time when you were wanting that love for them. So Apostle says, we may have to share our truths in efforts to help them through their struggles, of especially those of that we have experienced. Now, let me just say this. Let me just say this. And again, I'm just talking really about my life. There were some very detrimental things that I had to find out by the Holy Ghost concerning my family. Now, when I found those things out, especially on my mother's side, when I found those things out, I actually had conversations with certain members on my mother's side. and the admittance of the things that I found out that it were true. The response after having, said that, it was true was that the reason why they didn't share it was because they didn't want nobody to get hurt. Now, let me tell you, what I know. The fact that certain things were hidden actually created and substantiated a lot of hurt. Let me say that again. The fact that they hid a lot of stuff created and substantiated a lot of hurt. A lot of times we have done more bad by withholding certain things in the name of what we thought was good, and then later on something catastrophic takes place, and then you look back to that very thing and you wonder to yourself, did I really do well? Did I really do good in that situation? Sometimes honesty is really the best. It is really the best way. Now, I will also say that there's a level of discretion, because as they're growing, you have to use wisdom to know when you can have certain conversations, because at some points, some of them are too young mentally for you to engage in certain conversations. But at some point, having certain conversations creates a healthiness with your children. And it is one of the greatest catastrophes that I have ever seen, that the moment that your children or children have crossed over into adulthood, they 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 isolate you out, because their feeling is you were only there to buy me clothes, you were only there to feed me food, but you had no real interest in my life. And it's sad that many of these young people have greater confidence in their Instagram, their Facebook, their Twitter, their TikTok than they have with you. And then you wonder why things are the way that they are. I will also say that there are times when uh, these children have opened up Pandora's box. They've touched certain things. They've opened themselves up to certain things that doesn't have anything to do with your parental guidance at all. And if you don't know what Pandora's box is, let me just give you the Reader's Digest version to make you understand it. There was a very wicked man who had consulted a wizard, and he had put in this box these spells. And one of the spells in the box was to unleash these years of evil on this individual. And they put it in the box and they sent it to him. However, before it got to him, it got to his wife, whose name was Pandora. Her curiosity would not allow her to leave the box alone. And so she decided to open the box. When she opened the box, the curse that was in the box, and this is all mythological, but when she opened the box, the curse that was in the box fell on her life. And so heretofore, when you hear someone say or mention Pandora's box, the thrust of it is you've opened something that you shouldn't have. You touched something that you shouldn't have. You entertained something that you should not have. And what you have entertained, what you have opened up, what you have touched has now affected your life. And when that has happened, we don't know other than calling upon the name of the Lord how you are going to be delivered from such evil. And many times, the things that these young people are facing is truly wretchedly evil, but yet they have exposed themselves to it. And because they have exposed themselves to it, we're now in this place of trying to figure out, how are we going to help them? What are we going to do? And it is a very difficult, daunting task, because sometimes just when we think we are reaching them, they then go and entangle themselves even further. And so it is a constant fight of trying to pull them out of something that, in fact, they keep pulling themselves into. And so the two ends are actually fighting to try to bring these young people out of these scenarios. Um, but as I grew up, there was so much that happened, and I went through so much in my younger years. Um, and that's one of the things that I know that God is really with me, because when I look at the life that I came through, when I look at the things that happened to me, when I look at the amount of abuse that I went through, I never I never thought I would be in the place that I am in now. I never thought uh, that God would even be in my life to this degree. As a matter of fact, to be very honest, I did not even really find God until in my early adult years. I was attending church. When I was younger, I grew up Lutheran, and so I attended the Lutheran church. And then when my parents stopped going, I started going to the little Baptist church around the corner from me, and I was attending. But the real value of God didn't hit me until I got until I right before I married my first wife. That's when I really found God. And I will tell any parent, don't fool yourself. Just because you are attending a church, just because you are on the active role, does not necessarily mean nor constitute that you have a real genuine relationship with God. Because if you are not reading the Bible, if you are not praying, if your spirit is not yielded, if your soul is not yielded, then the only thing that you have is just a name. That's all you have. You have no genuineness about the life of God. There is no contrition that lives in you that helps you to do what you do. And the danger of it is that which we see in the world. You could have great success, you could make lots of money, but that never will constitute that you have a real, earnest, genuine relationship with God. The only way that that can truly be substantiated cannot be manifested in the car you drive, nor the car or the house you live in, nor the money that you spend. It is magnified by the life of Christ that is exhibited and spoken of through and by the life that you live. Um, you're quite welcome. Um, there's a whole lot about my life. I mean, a lot of people see my life, and and they see this polished man. Um, but what people don't know is the reason why it's so polished is because it was so dirty. And when anything that is really, really dirty, when you apply the right polish and you buff it right, oh, it'll shine real good. It'll shine real good. Thank you, Apostle. Um, oh, it'll shine. Oh, it'll shine good. And that's why you see what you see, because there was just so much. Now, to those that knew me younger, I wasn't, even when I sold drugs, I wasn't no thug. I wasn't out there gun toting and beating people up and all that. That wasn't me. It was very clear. I wanted to make money. The same thing that you see now, that I like clothes and things like that. That was I wanted to look good because of things that I did not have in my early teenage years. I wanted to fix the things that happened to me by being able to buy the things that I wanted, so that I would not be teased, that I wouldn't be taunted. I wanted to be accepted. My only reason for being out there is I wanted to be accepted. And I just want to say, to you as parents, even for some of you that your children are already adults. I'm gonna tell you right now, they may not tell you, but I'm gonna tell you the majority of what happened to them, many of their decisions and things that they did had everything to do with being accepted because in their mind they felt like I was absent from a certain love or a certain acceptance at home. Bottom line. That is the only reason why many, and they may tell you that that wasn't it. But if you listen to them, and I thank God for psychology and taking those and going through my doctoral studies and all that, I learned a lot. Sometimes you have to listen with a subjective ear and not an objective ear. What is that, Bishop? I'm glad you asked. Objective means it's in the box. It is the content that they are sharing with you as it is being presented. But if you listen subjectively out of the box, you will hear certain things that are not really being said, which then will help you to make a more stronger assessment to what's really going on. Because a lot of times, a lot of these young people can't even really tell you what's wrong because their minds are so it's so spread out. They've intertangled with so many different things. And so it becomes difficult for them to articulate what's really going on when at this point they're just living life. They're just living life. So they don't know what's wrong. They just know I have my phone. I got me a little job. And some of them unfortunately got a little baby. And so they're dealing with all of these things in life that it is not as easy as they would want it to be. And some of them really want to be able to come to you and say, hey, mom, hey, dad, this ain't as easy as I thought it was. But their pride won't allow them to tell you. Just like your pride as an adult and as a parent, you didn't want to tell them that it was hard for you too. So the perpetuation of pride that you would not share with your children, unfortunately, matriculated down to your children. And now your children are carrying out the exact same thing that you're doing. So a lot of the resistance that you're getting is nothing more than you in your younger self because you wouldn't want to do it. And so it is going to be very important that if you're trying to reach your children, and I will also say, if at some point the distance between your children has become extremely vast, my suggestion to you, number one, is to offer an olive branch. Start somewhere and begin to repair that relationship. Now, it may take time because it took a lot of time for it to get to where it is. It may take time. But just know that's your child. And at what point in time is it not worth time you trying to reach them? Don't lose your child to the world. I've told my children that. I've had discussions with my wife, and we've had situations that had happened, and I was so adamant that I said to them, I would never let ministry and business or anything make me lose my children to the world because the world is a very unforgiving place. It is very unforgiving. And to be very honest, even even with the deficiencies and the dysfunction that has taken place, I will tell you, no one can love your child like you. No one can love your child like you. Because when you look at your child, you're looking at a reflection of yourself. If you really want to know why God is so long suffering, why God endures mankind the way that he does, is because we are made in his image, we are made in his likeness. And because of it, he sees the reflection of himself. and so he suffers long when it comes to who we are. So Apostle says, I have adopted a few young people who did not have parents they could go to for wise counsel. Unfortunately, they either didn't have the relationship or the parent did not have the wherewithal to help them. And you see that happening a lot. And this is a part of the reason why the church is such a pivotal asset in the community, because a lot of times where they're not getting certain things at home, the church does become that place. Now, I will also say that there are a lot of things that have happened that lended itself into the Protestant church, which we are Protestant. It has lended to some very bad things, and there have been a lot of things that have happened that have not created a very healthy environment for them to be able to come to the church and find consolation and resolve for certain issues in their lives. As a matter of fact, I'll even be blatantly honest. There are some leaders that should have never ever become leaders in church, because number one, you lack the educational fortitude to even be able to speak to people beyond the spirituality of you need to get the Holy Ghost. We understand the Holy Ghost. We're not ignorant to that, but there's some things that you need certain levels of education to be able to speak to adequately. And furthermore, sometimes these leaders that are in these positions, they themselves are actually deficient in their psychological stability, and unfortunately breed instability within their churches because they are not psychologically well, and they then create an environment of very unstable and psychologically emotional people. So a lot of times the church is not a healthy place because the leader himself is not healthy, and then it creates a very unhealthy environment. And we've not been honest about that, but now I'm having to be honest because of all the things that I myself have had to deal with some leaders who are mentally unstable, who themselves can't even love their wives because they've never even seen what real love is. They think love is sex. They think love is buying stuff. They think that their title constitutes that they are genuinely who they say that they are, not realizing that a title is only as good as the person that occupies it. The title itself is a position, but it is your heart, it is your psyche, it is your mind that is occupying that title. And if your mind and if your heart and if your spirit has not become one with God, and you have not acquiesced to certain levels of learning so that you can handle that position with the sagacity that is necessary in order for you to be viewed as a good leader, unfortunately, you just waking up one day and speaking in tongues and saying that God called you does not necessarily substantiate that you actually are suitable to be in that position. And it is a very odd thing that in the Protestant church that we would think that because of a spiritual call that God called you to certain places, that alone is going to give you enough to be able to manage people and to do the work of ministry. That's not true. That's not true. And there's no way that we would look at every other occupation in the world and suggest that that occupation, especially if it deals with people, that you need to have certain levels of knowledge and education in order to be in that position. There ain't no doggone way that we could be in these positions and lack educational satisfaction that we can then handle individuals who they themselves need someone that can be suitably educated to handle their affairs. But we just think that because we're spiritual, that being spiritual is going to satisfy everything that is going on. And I come to tell you that as we are in this modern day era, it does not. It doesn't. And because it doesn't, we're in these positions. We're in these positions. And yes, I mean it. I do. And Tyrone Knight said that's some leaders forget that we are living in a material world, and thus we need to be equipped with the right learning coupled with God's spirit. That's balance. Absolutely. The Bible says that a false balance is an abomination unto God, but a just weight is his delight. That's Bible. A false balance is an abomination unto God, but a just a just weight is his delight. If we're going to manage life and we're going to manage it effectively, then you got to say to yourself, is it okay that you just walk around and you wear your spirituality on your chest, and everything you answer, you speak in tongues, and well, God bless you, the Lord said, the Lord said, the Lord said, the Lord said, the Lord said. Well, you know what, I don't have an issue with what the Lord said, but I do want to know what you say. How do you speak to certain matters? And furthermore, as we evaluate position in church and we look at the prerequisite of the bishop, and then we read down through the canon, and it, after giving a prerequisite to the bishop, he then said it likewise to the deacon, which then suggests that whatever is required of the higher office, it is also required of the lower one. Well, one of the prerequisites of the higher office is that you got to be apt to teach. Well, you can't teach what you ain't never learned. You can't. And you can listen to all the YouTube all you want to. There's certain things that you need to learn. And I have an issue with anybody, especially in certain levels of position, when it comes down to managing people. I have an issue that you are so intoxicated with your importance that you will not sit down and learn from anybody. That's a problem. That's a problem. And then oftentimes, and if nobody else is going to say it, I'm going to say it. Many times, the reason why there are so many of these churches, it is because at no other place in your life have you actually been able to really do anything of substance. So you go and you create this place where everybody calls you this position. Why? Because you want to feel important. But unfortunately, the necessary requirement for you to be in that position, you lack it. And then when we bring it to your attention, you get offended. But there's no need to get offended. We are only speaking to the fruit that is being exhibited from your life. You cannot teach what you do not know, and you cannot lead where you will not go. Now again, here again is the issue. But we have all of these people who are doing these things, and there are many people across these lines that I know have very dysfunctional houses. So then when I see their church is actually a reciprocation of what they are not at home. So we are no good. So we have to take more responsibility if we are going to parent, lead, which is, as a matter of fact, if I guess this would be a great place for me to kind of plug my book, The Making of a Doyen Leader, The Expository of Leadership and Success. I took a very hard look on what we see in society as leadership, and I looked at the biblical model through systematic theology to be able to give us a good contrast of what that is. And I put a lot of thought into that book to really take a look at. I pulled certain of the forefathers of the Bible to substantiate that. I looked at the propinquity of many leaders, the commonality that is shared between them, and I believe that it is really a good book. I've gotten some great response from it. As a matter of fact, you can right now, you can go right to Amazon and you can order it right now on Amazon. All you got to do is just in the search line, when you go to Amazon, just search The Making of a Doyen Leader. And I pray that that book really blesses you. Um, it's really a good book. Thank you, Apostle. Thank you very much. Um, I have always been driven by good leadership. I've always been driven to display good leadership. I've always did my best and still do to exhibit the highest level of leadership. I'm very hard on myself. I'm hard on my leaders because of all of the bad things that we see. And we see so many bad things. It is important that we as disciples and leaders to watch our life and doctrine. We should, but a lot of times my feeling is that we use the title to hide behind the dysfunction of our character. Thank you very much. Thank you. We hide. We really hide. And a lot of times we think that we get a pass for bad leadership because we have certain titles, because we will quickly say, I'm not perfect. But yet we are critical of everyone else when and or if certain things happen in their line of leadership. And I'm just going to say, we got to do better. We got to do better. We got to do better. Um, because if we don't, looking at the current climate that we're in right now, um, if we really do not dig our heels in and really, like in the game of tug of war, if we don't start to pull back and start taking back certain things in our lives to make for a better church, a better community, a better world, what is tomorrow going to look like? When we look at this generation of young people, what are we looking at? What is this becoming? At some point, we have to really bear down and do everything that we can to draw these young people in. We cannot, under no circumstances, just throw them away. They need us. They need us. They absolutely need us because if we don't reach them, what's going to happen? What is that going to happen? Bishop, I noticed that when I had brothers that I was accountable to, I saw a tremendous growth. When I ran solo, the fruit was bitter in my personal life. Now, again, this is, this is someone that we work together. We've developed friendship over the years, and he's just being honest. He's just being honest, and this is what I mean by we have to be honest. And I said many of the things that we did, the things that we fell into, a lot of it was because there was something that was lacking in our lives, and we just jumped out there. And when we jumped out there, we created a mess. And God has given us children that we can now fix the mess that we made by parenting them and guiding them a lot better. And so I'm praying that you all will give strong consideration to helping somebody, even beyond your own children. Be a voice to somebody. One of the greatest things that I remember as an adolescent growing up was my neighbors. Um, they were there. I knew all of my neighbors. We never called them by their first name. We never treated them like we were equal. Um, we were very clear. It was Mr. Stiles, Mr. Gaskins, Mr. Reynolds, um, Miss Mosby, um, Miss Debbie. We Miss Pauline. I remember their names because I remember how much they affected me. And even to this day, when some of them I would still see, I still, in the act of respect, I still address them as such, because no matter how old you may think you get, respect is not about age. Respect is about the understanding of where one person is in contrast to where you are. This generation has never known that. And a lot of times they're just always fighting for a certain level of respect. And that's why their level of exhibition is the way that it is. But we still got to reach them. We still got to reach them, y'all. We still got to reach them. We still got to help them. Help somebody. Help these young people. Lend your voice. Lend your heart. Do what you can. I understand that we have our own homes, and I know that now. Society says, there's certain things that we can't do and things like that. But there are a lot of things that we still can do. Um, thank you very much. Love you so much. Thank you. Um, I understand. I love the Bible. I mean, I can walk the Bible. I really can. I'm grateful for my biblical knowledge, and I'm grateful for obtaining my doctoral degree. Was one of the real that was one of my ambitions in life. I just wanted to push myself to the highest level of academic achievement. I wanted to see if I could do it. And I guess it was, and then when I was taking my master's in leadership, and then my doctorate degree in theology, I mean, it really pushed me. It pushed my aptitude. Um, it pushed my belief. It pushed it. It really made me understand what I believed, and could I really defend it. And I'm grateful to God that I was able to do that. And then right after I graduated, I wrote that book, and I'm so grateful for it. I really am. Um, I'm grateful for Bishop Dr. Stephanie Stratford, who wrote the foreword to the book. I'm grateful for my bishop, Bishop Joseph McCargo, who wrote the preface to the book, and lended their voice to my writing. Grateful for my wife, who the long, long nights that I would be at my desk um, typing in the middle of the night, and she was just there just to love on me and to push me. I'm grateful for my sons. Um, hey, y'all, my sons really they were such a voice of influence while I was writing it. They would ask me every day, where was my word count? And I mean, they were really pushing me. And what was unique is, as they are now doing certain things in life, I'm now pushing them, and we push one another. And that's what I mean by having a healthy relationship with your children, because we're helping one another. We're genuinely helping one another. My family now has 4 generations. Wow. 4 generations in college. I think it's important to encourage one another in all aspects of life. Absolutely. I just believe that if college does nothing else, number one, it is the discipline of college that is so necessary for individuals who are looking to lend themselves to be a voice in society. Now, I'm not saying that it is the absolute. We know that there have been many contributions that have been made in society of individuals who have never ever gone to the schools of higher learning. But I do know that there are many who have. Um, those individuals that have not, they are definitely the exception. That is not the rule. I would encourage all of these young people to get to some level of higher learning. You need the discipline. You need it. You definitely need it. I wish some of these adults would go back to school because they lack discipline and they need it. And so I'm grateful for everything that has happened. I'm grateful for all of the successes. As a matter of fact, again, it just, just kind of plugging my business again. I'm just so grateful to God for the agency. The Smith Firm and Agency is a dream come true. Um, I've always had a concern, along with education. I've also had a concern about money. As a matter of fact, I'm actually going to be setting up some sessions on the midweek where we're going to be talking about um, financial stability. I am grievously concerned um, about the number of people that have passed away who do not have life insurance. I'm grievous. As a matter of fact, Apostle, I don't know if you know this, but Bruce Dunlap, Prophet Bruce Dunlap, went home to be with the Lord. And from what I could see, because I know that there's a GoFundMe that is out there, it is, again, it's apparent that there's no life insurance, and there's just so many people that I know who have died who don't have it. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, it is really not that hard. If we're trying to display a balance and a healthy life to our children, I think we need to get back to some levels of practicality. I think we're in such a rat race to do all of these other things that I think we're missing some of the more vital things that are necessity, or a necessity to being an adult and being responsible. And that's one of those things. Um, you know, um, it's such a hard thing. Um, good, good. It is. It's very unfortunate. And God knows there are others that I know that have passed away, and um, my heart goes out to them. And my heart really goes out to people who just think that life insurance is just so that you can bury someone, not realizing that life insurance is not only so that you can bury an individual, but that you can financially, especially if you were the main breadwinner, how are they supposed to survive now that you're gone? That whole income, your influence is gone. How are they going to survive? They need in the middle of talking um, uh, about all the other things. We need to talk about that too. Absolutely, we certainly can do that, Apostle. You just reach out to me. My number's not changing. If need be, you can just reach out to me after broadcast. I'd love to talk to you. Um, it's sad. I'm this agency. Um, what he's been able to do, and the number of companies that we have, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm humble by what has happened. Um, to be able to do, um, I'm finishing up the other part of it with the property and casualty. So we'll be able to do car insurance and homeowners insurance and renters insurance and business insurance. But then we have the life side, and we have up to 30 different companies that we can provide. And I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful for the agents that we have. Um, I'm grateful. I'm bringing on some more. I had two conversations today, and looking to hire two others. I'm just grateful how all of this has happened. I really am. Um, but in all of it, a lot of this I'm doing so that I can lend my voice to the community, so that I can help, even beyond, my own family. And y'all know, First Lady and I now have a granddaughter, and I'm gonna tell you right now, the world ends and begins with her. I'm trying to tell you. She is the cutest thing I have ever seen in my life. For those of you that know my oldest son, Dominic, he's the father, and I'm telling you now, that child looks exactly like him. When I see her, It's like looking at my oldest son all over again when he was an infant. And that little girl has stole my heart. Um, Outside of the love of my wife, and y'all know I love my wife. As a matter of fact, it's National Spouse Day, and I just want to shout out my beautiful wife. You all know I love First Lady. I love her. That is my girl. That's why on our invited. That's why she's on our marketing stuff because I absolutely love me some Savannah. Uh, that girl is everything to me. Um, but I can say. Um, I can say that I have been smitten. I, I can be honest. I mean straight. I mean straight from his loins. Um, but she has. I mean, I am so smitten by her. She is just the most gorgeous, 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 gorgeous child. And I said to my son, and I said to Carrington, and shout out to them. I thank them. I thank them for bringing such a beautiful little girl into the world. And no, they are not married. And no, uh, yep, it's a whole lot of the stuff that when we grew up in church, and it would be this whole thing. And I had to set all the records straight so that everybody could understand. Because see, we can be very critical when we want to be. And my issue is not that we're critical, but we're always critical at the wrong time. We're just critical at the wrong time. That is not the time for us to exhibit our theological premise and use God to slam them to the ground for the error that they made, because I had to clarify and just make it so understanding to everyone that we could say whatever we want to the biblical canon of fornication and all of that. We could say whatever we want. I said, but here's something that I think all of us need to take a look at. And I think this is where we need to partner with God. Yep, they did go out and yep, they did have sex. However, there's only one person who could make the decision that that life will come into the world. And whatever we want to say, and no matter how we want to look at it, he, in his infinite wisdom, said that he believed that Dominic and Carrington were now ready to parent. And because of it, we now have a baby girl. Amora is in the world. Amora Naomi Smith is in the world. And honestly, I am I could not be happier. I can't. I'm even watching, and this is why in all of this we have to use uh sagacity, good judgment in how we're going to manage situations. Because now I'm watching my son just, I mean, he is just evolving into being such a young man. And his whole thought process is I gotta take care of my daughter. I gotta take care of my family. There's certain things that I want to do. And no, and I'm going to tell you, there is no greater sound that a father wants to hear than to hear his son say that he wants to be responsible and he wants to take care of what he knows has come from his loins. There is no greater sound that we want to hear. Um, you're quite welcome. You're quite welcome. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining us on tonight. Thank you. Thank you. Um, they are. I mean, because we could say whatever we want, but when they come, the feeling that we feel and all it does, it goes right back to what I say. Now, we've done so much to try to help them in the life that they have lived, and so now we there is another life that we look to reach and to make it better. And so all of it is just good. And I'm just a smitten grandfather. I'm grandpa. I'm granddad. Whatever she wants to call me. I'm not G dad and all this stuff. It don't even matter to me because, to be very honest, I'm gonna be the flyest grandfather you ever met. I'm coming straight out of the Jet magazine. It don't matter. She can call me whatever she want, but you're gonna be calling me that as I'm cruising down the street in my convertible Jaguar. So you can say you can say whatever you want. Um, I'm gonna be fly all day. I'm gonna be fly all day. Um, wow! Congratulations! Wow! Wow! Listen, I'm telling you, that is a moment. In that little moment right there, there is a moment where you can you could either win them or you could lose them. And I'm telling you now, win them. Win them, because you and I both know parenting is not easy. All of us, we're parenting, and it wasn't easy. And it is certainly not easy in this generation. They need your parental guidance. They need your wisdom. They need your insight. They need your money. Come on. Ain't no need in us pretending like they gonna have all the answers. We know that they're not. They need your assistance. They need it. And while you can feel angry and have all of these emotions and all of this stuff, I'm telling you now, listen, put that stuff aside. It has a place. I understand it's premature. I get it. I understand it. But I'm going to tell you something. God made the decision. Who are we to challenge it? Who are we to challenge it? God knows something about those young people that we don't know. God has allowed us to parent them, but he still reserves the right to be their God. And I'm going to do everything that I can, like I do with every other parishioner in my church. I'm going to point them in the direction of the Father, because he knows more than me. I know he's my son, but he is their creator. One still trumps the other. And I will put my trust in the Lord than to put my confidence in man. So listen, it's been great. I appreciate you all being with me on tonight. It's been great. I pray that this has helped you in some way. I pray that you saw yourself. I pray that there was something that was said that you can use, whether in your own life or in the lives of those people that you are influentially touching. I am praying that you all have been really, really blessed by tonight's time. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We want to make sure that way, because there are times where we're not going to be broadcasting on Facebook. We're going to be exclusively broadcasting to YouTube, and we don't want you to miss anything. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search the Love Center Maryland, and you will see right there. If you look right there, there is the logo. You see it right there. See it right there as logo. And look for that logo, so that way you'll know that you've actually connected with us. All right. Again, make sure, if you want that book, The Making of a Doyen Leader, The Expository of Leadership and Success, you can purchase that on Amazon, $23.99. You can purchase it, and they're going to get that right out to you. And then if you are in close proximity, I would love to be able to come and sign that book, to really thank you for purchasing that composite of what I have written on leadership and success. I certainly appreciate you so very much. Make sure you join us. Make sure you join us this Sunday at 11 o'clock for the Love Center Cathedral virtual experience. We have been virtual. We have shut the doors of the church because of the Omicron variant that has really exploded in this area. And for the safety of our parishioners and our friends, we decided to close the door to keep it safe, so that everyone is going to be safe. And so we are virtual. And so you can be comfortable in your home. and you can still view our services at 11 o'clock sharp on Sunday morning. We absolutely would love to have you. If you want to give, if you want to sow a seed into the ministry, we love for you to do so. The information is right there. You see it? There it is right there. You can write from your phone, 410-873-9100. And you can go ahead and just sow a seed there, or you can do Cash App, and then Cash App, our username is $One Love Center. And again, on behalf of that precious woman right there, she is First Lady Savannah Gooden Smith. In her absence, I just want to say thank you so much for being with us on tonight. It has absolutely been great, great dialogue, and I pray that you have really been blessed by tonight. Lady Tracy, always good to see my daughter. She's out of Atlanta and doing great things down there in Atlanta. I appreciate your daughter. Love you so, 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 so very much. I appreciate you. Listen, I want everybody to have a wonderful night. Enjoy your night's evening and rest. And again, just keep in mind, I want you to be looking. We're advertising all over. We are hiring. The Smith firm and agency is hiring. We want to hire you. If you are interested, give us a call, 443-898-8173, or you can text to that number as well, or you can email at bishoptsmith@hotmail.com. Again, that's bishoptsmith@hotmail.com. All right. Listen, I want everybody to enjoy the rest of your evening, and we will see you on Sunday morning at 11 o'clock for the Love Center Cathedral virtual experience. This is the Love Center, and we are truly a church where love is in the center. The Lord bless you. We look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.